Loving her. Fred Weasley. Chapter 2. Liliana's POV. As we stepped into the burrow, the familiar smell of Molly's home-cooked meal filled through the air, making my stomach grumble in hunger. The entire family was seated at the long wooden dining table, chatting away. Only 2 empty seats remained, waiting for Fred and me. The moment George spotted us, he smirked, his mischievousness already in full swing. Well. I thought you 2 would have been here before me. What made you 2 so late? Got lost, or were you distracted? Fred rolled his eyes as he pulled out a chair beside George. Anna had to go back to her house to feed her cats. That's why we're late. He shrugged nonchalantly, already helping himself to some bread. I sat between Harry and Fred, but not before shooting George a mock glare. And please, I groaned dramatically, close the door next time when you're doing something nobody should ever have to see. George's smirk only widened. Oh, come on, I thought you enjoyed the show. Angeline, seated beside him, turned beet red, smacking his shoulder hard. The table erupted into laughter, except for Ang, who buried her face in her hands, and Molly, who gave George a sharp glare. I leaned over to Fred and whispered, "Your brother is hopeless." Fred grinned. Took you this long to figure that out? Once the laughter subsided, I turned to Harry and kissed him on the cheek. "Miss me, puppy? Always baby sis," he said with a grin. "You took long enough to get here." Ginny came over, pulling me into a tight hug. "Finally, I was starting to think Fred had dragged you into one of his pranks." I hugged her back. Not this time, but I did have the misfortune of witnessing George's extracurricular activities. Ginny burst into laughter and sat down, while Ron gave me a playful one-armed hug. "You've got to stop showing up late, Lily. Mom's been pacing, and I'm starving." "You're always starving, Ron," I teased as I finally settled into my seat. By now, Molly had joined us with the last dish in hand, and the table quieted down as everyone began eating. Arthur, ever the curious and warm father figure, broke the silence by asking, "So, how's everything going in your lives?" Ron was the first to speak, his mouth half full. "Actually good. Work gets busy when Games Week is around the corner, but no issues otherwise." Ginny chimed in next, her tone enthusiastic. "Practices for the World Cup are intense, but manageable. Coaching students at Hogwarts on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays keeps me busy, but I'm enjoying it. It's just during matches that it gets crazy." Harry nodded. "Things at work are hectic, as usual. I'll be working late most nights this week, but Ginny and I have already talked about it, so we're all good." Fleur smiled warmly, her hand resting on Bill's. "Bill is doing wonderfully at Gringotts. After Victoire, I decided to take a break to focus on her, so I'm not working for now, but everything's going smoothly." Fred and George, as always, spoke in unison. "The shop is brilliant," George continued. "We had a rough patch after Lee left, but thanks to Lily helping with the accounts, mail, and shipping, we're finally back on track. It's a lot easier now. Not to mention she's also good at keeping you in check," Fred added, smirking at George. "Oi, I'm perfectly manageable," George protested. Fred snorted. "Sure you are, if manageable means messing up 10 shipping." I was just confused, stressed, and it was midnight, who wouldn't be tired, George retorted. "Enough, you two," Molly interjected, but her exasperated tone was undermined by the fond smile on her face. Everyone laughed as the bickering finally subsided. "The restaurant is doing great. The attention shifted to me. Business is steady, and the library section is surprisingly popular." Percy, ever the serious one, simply said, "Mine's going well. No changes, which is ideal," Hermione added. "Work's been wonderful too. I even managed to take a week off to visit my parents in Australia." Arthur nodded, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "That's great to hear. All our kids, standing on their own, it makes a father proud." Molly beamed at his words, her eyes glistening with happiness. "Absolutely. I couldn't agree more." George suddenly cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention. "Mum, Dad," he began, glancing briefly at Angeline. "We've decided to move in together at my flat." "That's wonderful, dear," Molly said with a smile, but then her gaze shifted to Fred. "But what about you, Fred? Where will you go?" Fred shrugged. "I'll find a new flat." I've already started looking. Molly frowned, concern etched on her face. Are you sure, dear? It won't be easy finding a place on your own. You could always come stay here. Fred shook his head firmly. No, Mum, George and I can't stick together forever. It's better to separate now before we both settle down with someone. I'll manage. Before Molly could argue further, I interrupted, raising my hand. Fred can move in with me. I have a spare room, and it's just sitting empty. Fred's eyes widened in surprise. Really? That would save me so much money. Thanks, Anna. George smirked. Oh, Lily, thank you for saving my poor ugly twin from homelessness. Fred smacked him on the back of the head. I'm neither ugly nor poor. You're right, you're hideous. George quipped, dodging Fred's next swipe. Molly sighed but smiled. All right, if Lily doesn't mind, then it's settled. But Fred, you'd better behave. Fred grinned. Of course, Mum. I'll be an absolute angel. I rolled my eyes. I'm going to regret this, aren't I? The table laughed, and the conversation shifted again as I cleared my throat to grab their attention. I wanted to let you all know that my restaurant's 2-year anniversary is coming up on November 22nd, Wednesday. Just like last year, I'll be hosting a party and invite everyone. I was hoping we could all hang out that day. I'll even write to Charlie and see if he can make it. Oh, that sounds lovely, dear, Molly said warmly. Arthur nodded. We'd love to come. I can help if you need anything, Fleur offered, and the others nodded in agreement. Thank you, everyone, I said sincerely. Hermione grinned. Great, I'll finally get to borrow more books. I've already finished the 10 I borrowed last time. They're upstairs in my room. Don't forget to take them back. George pointed his fork at her. Lily, aren't you losing money with Hermione taking all your books? No, I knew Hermione would be borrowing books from my library, I explained, taking a sip of my drink. In fact, every time I'm about to restock new books, I owl her the day before, asking if there's anything specific she wants. I make sure to buy extras of those titles. It's not a problem at all. Hermione, ever modest, quickly added, I also pay half the cost for the books I borrow, even though Lily insists it's unnecessary. I just couldn't take them for free. It wouldn't feel right. I didn't want to risk ruining her business. George leaned back in his chair, grinning mischievously. So, essentially, you turned your Vista into a book haven just for Hermione? Before I could respond, Ron piped up, his tone playful. I wouldn't be surprised. It's like you two have some secret book club. Lily, admit it, you opened the library just to fuel Hermione's addiction. I raised an eyebrow at him. Says the guy who spends more time playing chess than working. Don't start with me, Ronald. Harry smirked, joining in the fun. Don't you know, Ron? My twin loves books just as much as Hermione does. If anything, the library is as much for her as it is for Hermione. I turned to Harry, narrowing my eyes. Careful, brother, you're on thin ice. Harry held up his hands in mock surrender. Okay. Sorry, you're not a bookworm like Hermione. You were just interested in different genre book, not about school, obviously, and also preferred studying wandless magic or learning obscure spells. I'll admit you spent more time on that than anything else. Satisfied with his correction, I smiled sweetly. Good. Now, if you call me a bookworm again, I'll send you back to Voldemort myself. The table erupted in laughter, Harry included, though he gave me a mock glare. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I would, I teased, smirking. Fleur, always poised and curious, turned to me with a thoughtful expression. But really, Lily, why did you decide to add a library to your restaurant? It's a bit unusual. I shrugged, my smile softening. Reading has always been my safe space. It helps me calm my mind, and even when Harry was busy getting hurt in 4th year in the tournament and hospitalized after Quidditch, I had to be awake the whole night to keep an eye on him, and books helped me with that. After the war, I struggled with nightmares, couldn't sleep through the night most of the time. Books were my escape. They kept me sane. The table fell quiet for a moment, the weight of my words sinking in. Molly gave me a gentle, motherly smile, and Arthur nodded thoughtfully. That makes sense, Hermione said softly. Books have always been my escape, too. Yeah, except you read them so fast, they barely get a chance to escape the shelf, Ron teased, breaking the solemn mood. Everyone laughed, and Hermione rolled her eyes but smiled. I can't help it if I have a thirst for knowledge, Ronald. Everyone laughed, and with the conversation lightened once again, we finished our meal, chatting about everything from Quidditch to Fred's disastrous flat hunting adventures. The warmth of family and laughter lingered long after dinner was done. Like always, Ginny and Harry are sharing a room, Ron and Hermione are sharing a room, Percy has his own, and Bill, Fleur, and Rhea, short for Victoria, are together. Angie and George are sharing another room, and Charlie locked his. Except for ours, there's only one room left. Are you okay being with Fred in the same room, Lily? Molly asked, her tone gentle yet concerned. I smiled reassuringly. Yeah, no worries, Molly. I'll be fine. Molly gave me a warm hug, kissing everyone goodnight before heading to her room. Gradually, the others dispersed, chatting and yawning as they made their way to their rooms. Fred was lingering downstairs, deep in conversation with George and Harry, so I grabbed my bag and headed to the room we'd be sharing. I packed light, just my pajamas and a fresh dress for the next morning. Once inside, I locked the door, draped my coat over a chair, and unbuttoned my shirt, ready to change. Just as I removed my top, a loud pop echoed behind me. Startled, I whirled around, clutching my shirt, only to see Fred standing there, looking just as surprised. He had apparated directly into the room, skipping the climb up the stairs like he always did. Before I could let out the scream building in my throat, he rushed toward me and clapped a hand over my mouth. The force sent us stumbling backward, and we fell onto the bed, him on top of me. My heart raced as I wiggled, trying to push him off, but he quickly held a finger to his lips, motioning for silence. Shh, Anna. It's just me, he whispered, his voice low and apologetic. I stilled beneath him, my breath shaky. Slowly he pulled away, removing his hand from my mouth. I'm sorry, he said, his cheeks tinged with pink as he quickly stepped back, giving me space. I didn't know you'd already be here. I'll knock next time, I swear. Before I could respond, he disappeared again with a soft pop, leaving me alone in the room. I sat up on the bed, my cheeks burning crimson. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest, pounding hard from how close we'd just been. This was the first time we'd been in such proximity, and I didn't know how to process the flutter of emotions swirling within me. Shaking my head, I stood up, removed my boots, and changed into my pajamas. I settled into the armchair near the window, unable to shake the moment from my mind. After a few minutes, there was a knock at the door. Can I come in, Anna? Fred's voice called softly from the other side. I didn't reply immediately, still flustered, but I made my way to the door and opened it. Fred stepped in, shutting the door behind him. He leaned against it, hands shoved into his pockets, his gaze fixed on the floor. I'm sorry, he said again, his voice quiet but sincere. I shouldn't have startled you like that. I steadied him for a moment before replying. It's okay, really, I'm not upset, Red. His head shot up at the sound of my nickname for him, relief spreading across his freckled face. I gave him a small smile and nodded to assure him I meant it. Thanks, he said, his shoulders relaxing. He glanced toward the bed and chuckled lightly. Looks like there's only one bed. It's not the first time we've shared one, is it? I replied, my tone casual. He paused, his expression softening. No, it's not. Memories of the post-battle days came rushing back. After the war, when Fred had been badly hurt, Molly had asked me to help care for him. He'd been plagued with nightmares, so I'd stayed by his side at night, holding his hand and reassuring him that everything was okay. Those moments were when my feelings for him deepened. The thought of losing Fred and Harry had been unbearable. I hadn't cared about my own life in those final moments of the battle. I just wanted them to live. Fred's gentle smile mirrored mine, as if he too was remembering. I climbed into bed first, pulling the covers up to my chin. Fred joined a moment later, keeping a careful distance between us. "Good night, Anna," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Good night, Red," I replied, a small smile playing on my lips. With that, we both drifted off to sleep, the room filled with a peaceful silence.